Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. I'm quite hoarse because I've been speaking to Clive for 2 hours. You know who you are, Clive. I think it's Clive's Scale Modelling channel. I'll put a link to Clive's channel in the description. Yes, I told you I'd be all zingy, Clive. We've just been putting the world to rights and very enjoyable chat it was too. This is what I'm saying about YouTube. For all the negatives, there's what you don't see in the background are just people getting along with each other and connecting and looking out for each other. So thanks for the chat, Clive. It was very enjoyable. Right, today's video. I almost forgot what I was even going to show you. I've actually done a bit more to the tiger base, as the title would probably tell you. Lots and lots of dry brushing, so much so that I think I've worn out about 4 paintbrushes, but I'm actually quite pleased how it's looking. I'm not going to overload the small bit of terrain, as you know, that's on there, and you'll see again in a minute, but I will be painting some separate pieces just to dress it up at the end. I don't have a lot of I mean, my married Greg from Greg Riley's 1/35 scale models, miniature model. Why is it whenever any of us talk about other people's channels and people that we're in communication with regularly, we still can't remember them? You all know Greg Riley. I've mentioned him enough times on this channel. He's one of the gods of modelling in our little dusty corner of the universe. And he sent me down some debris and stuff as well. Some of it which might already be on here, some of it might be added a bit later. And some's going to be kept in strategic reserve because I've got other things to do as well. But what I'm saying is, and he also sent me some stowage down as well. But what I'm saying is I don't have the, you know, I don't know. I am thinking of sticking some shell casings down, maybe out of styrene or brass rod, but I've actually been trying to, the things we do, make 88mm shells or just any shells of any description really, just as a bit of scatter. And I tried making them out of sprue by sticking them in a Dremel and literally putting a file on them and trying to make shelled casing shapes and whole shells. It didn't work, but I had a go. And I'm not going to be buying, as I say, I'm on a budget. I can't afford to invest huge amounts of money on Dio stuff. I just can't. So I'm making it with the bits I've got. So it may be, all I'm trying to plead my case for you guys is it will probably be lacking bits. You know, I can't put rifles around. Although I do believe I have got a MP40 even. I think it was word as ash. You know, one of Schmeiser MP40s. I think I've got a couple of them from that old Schwingwagen I did. So I might have a couple of bits and pieces I might be able to just put around. And also, let's face it, the base isn't huge. I mean, how much more stuff do you really want on there? Yes, Steve? I know, loads, but there's only so far I can go. So, Steve Jones Scale Modelling, go check him out. Again, one of the scale modelling gods in this dusty universe that we inhabit. But I'm actually dead chuffed. And my missus, she came up last night as I was tootling away towards the end, and she went, "Oh, that looks good." And she wasn't just being nice for a change. I think she actually meant it, because she said last time I saw it, it was just blue foam. And she says, "Isn't it amazing what a paintbrush will do?" And I have actually painted all this. I've not done any, apart from putting a black brown, more black than brown, but a black brown base coat down. The rest of it has just been brush painted. I thought I'd go that way because I thought, yes, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference over spill, but it's enough to cause more problems than it's solving. Join me at the bench because my battery's dying. I'll change the battery over and we'll take a look. Right, guys, thanks for joining me at the bench as I vainly try and not push this large tripod over. Oh, the things we do for television. Is this television? I don't know. Anyway, we're trying to put on a show. Right, let me see. What have I got to point with that isn't particularly damaging. Right, here we have it, closely modelled on Dudley here in the Black Country, maybe Wolverhampton, I'm not too sure. But yeah, as I've said to you guys on the mock-up version when it was just blue foam, this is artistic. Nothing's really to scale. It's just to prove. It's just to have a bit of context for my Tiger tank to sit in. You know, this is, as you can see, single skin here. No way would that be there for a monumental building, but you know, this is the brickwork that the facade stones have been put onto, and obviously as all the shells and the bombing from, because a lot of these, obviously the German cities, they were the target for nighttime bombing, daytime bombing, mainly nighttime bombing by our RAF. They were quite knocked about long before Soviet Russia got to Soviet Union, I should say, got to get over the Oder River. It is, as I say, generalistic. It's just to give you an idea of some rather than a suburb, a house or anything like that. I wanted some type of monumental structure, but I couldn't have anything 2 foot high, and you know, I just don't have the room. So we've got, as we said before, these are wedding cake stand things for the tiers of cakes, wedding cakes and that, but they make ideal columns because obviously that's what they're supposed to be. My Mara Greg Riley suggested I sanded them over and then painted them to give a rough texture. Well, I disagreed, only because when you go up to these monumental structures, they're actually smooth, so I've left them Greg smooth. Obviously I'd already put some holes in, I've highlighted them slightly. These divots and that will be filled out a bit with a bit of paint just to make them show out a bit better. I've put everything with a black base. Specifically, I thought it worked well with that small little German bunker that I did for the First World War Remembrance Day, Armistice Day group build, and I thought it would work for me well here, and it has done, I believe. As you can see, it's given a lot more grime to the paint that's been put over the top. The same goes for what I keep calling the monumental. Yes, I know, again, these steps, nothing's to scale. This is Gav doing something for the first time, so just bear with it. The paint shows through. I may do slightly more weathering on the columns themselves, but I don't particularly want to go over the town because, again, I want the colour to be, if you notice, a lot of the colours dress in with each other. The bricks here are bought bricks. I can't remember the company I bought them from. They're actually supposedly German bricks, I believe. I don't know if that's correct. I haven't put any. I was going to put some Vallejo putty on the edges to simulate, the cement mortar on them, and then paint them. But I've just gone for dabs of paint. You'll see on different places. These are roof tiles again from some large monumental building. These have got to be highlighted and darkened and whatever, played with a bit more yet. As I say, there's not going to be a huge amount more done. I've got brick dust in the red there, cement dust, and just dust in general from the different debris. On this side, I've done these a lighty orangey brown. These bricks are slightly darker red. That was deliberate. I wanted a couple of different colours of bricks because in reality, different add-on structures over the 100 or 200 years these buildings were being put up, they'd be different brick colours from different factories, because on the whole they obviously would be dressed in either this stone or plaster and stuff. So that was the idea of that, just to give a slightly different colour to everything. Down in the corner here we've got a blind, so a dud Katyusha rocket that's gone into the ground and not gone off. Let me just see if we can tilt our camera tripod. Can we go in? Oh no, that's going out, Gav. There we go. There's our Katyusha. Again, it's Gav's cheap efforts. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it into view there. All it is a paintbrush protect. The plastic tubes, I use them for everything. with a bit of plasticard for the fins. I've noticed on a few photos they were done in like a steel or aluminium metal with a black back to them. That's not massively authentic, I know, but it gives you the idea. It's a blind that hasn't gone off and it's hit the ground. There's not a lot else I can show you really, because as you can see the rest of it hasn't been touched, apart from some very outskirty bits. I'm pointing and you can't even see. Alright, come on Gav, switch on. There we go. So we've done this piece here again, lightened up some of the some of the splat marks on the walls. Again, mix of dry brushed. Everything's just been dry brushed. I give them a base layer. Like the columns had more done to them. They had about 3 or 4 different paints put on them, and they weren't particularly dry brushed. They were, you know, wet paint, if you want to call it that. But everything else, all the blue foam, it really lends itself. If you're going to use this material, it really does lend itself to dry brushing. And I thought with the black base, it gives you already an urban, grimy, blown up type feel to it, in my opinion. I've gone for last thing last night. I put a German grey and then a silver grey dry brush. As you can see, in places I hadn't wiped enough. It was too late in the evening. I was starting to make mistakes. But I think that might be too light anyway. I might go over it with a blue grey, French grey, something like that. So that's all we've got really done. You know, I started obviously on the back part as well. All that's done. Again, these are supposed to be, just bear with it, lose any sense of reality. Come on, this is one of Gav's videos, bear with it. Just lose a sense of reality. That's a roof slate. And this is here, if you can see, they're going to be painted roof slates, monumental roof slates, large ones. Again, yet another piece of pipe has been used. It's supposed to be like, it could be anything you want to really, a piece of water pipe or whatever. So it's all coming together. You know, I'm enjoying it. As I've always said, sometimes things can fight you, or you just don't enjoy things. But when I first put it all together, I was thinking, oh, this is looking a bit, you know, a bit rubbish really. But no, I'm liking it. Can we move her up there? Here we go. Again, that blackness. If you're just dry brushing, it'll give you that grime. That's done without putting weathering on. It's giving you that effect already, if that makes sense. Is it perfect? Probably not. This is me doing it, but it does give you that griminess to a rubble effect. There's a bit of wood there. I am going to add a bit. What I've tried to do. Let's go to this piece here if we can see. This bit that hasn't been done. I wanted to get in as many nooks and crannies. There's still a faint bit of blue showing through, but again, once it's all been, you won't see it when it's, apart from maybe the odd eagle-eyed viewer, you won't see it once the dry brushing starts. But I've put the black base in there already, so I'll dry brush all these, and then I'm going to add a few more bits separately painted and stick them on. So there may well be a few more bits of wood yet. I'm looking at seeing what I can throw a few bits of steel in there as well, just to give a steel effect. But again, I'm not going over the top with it. You know, there's a big 1 in 35 scale tiger tank going to be sat here. I'm not going to put it down on the base again at the moment till things painted. And again, something else I've got to do is, you guys were helping me out with the slightly build up around the track, because I said it looks slightly where I've done. It's not the model's fault, it's mine as usual. But it's lifted off the ground maybe. I've got to look at some photographs again, but it's slightly off the ground at the front. So I'll probably have to put a bit of, you know, again, bit of scatter underneath that. But I put so much work into, and I knew this would happen, I put so much work into doing, hang on a second, let's go back. See, I'm pointing at things and you can't even see. Right, I put a lot of work into just carving out shapes, you know, for cobblestones, and some of them still might be covered up with bits of scatter yet. I knew that was going to happen, but I'd rather have spent the time doing that than having to try and fit them in afterwards, you know. And as much as I try, there's one thing with this blue foam. I don't know really if maybe if I'd have sprayed it with my Valet, my Newton and Windsor Galleria varnish, whether it would have, because that's acrylic, so it shouldn't eat the foam. Because you've got to be careful with this foam, because I think it gets eaten by the lacquers and things. So stay clear of those if you can. So all this is acrylic that's been dry brushed on here. But I couldn't get in all to the nooks and crannies, and it does soak up your paint, and it can be expensive, you know, hurling bottles of paint at it. So there might be areas where the light blue still, well, I know there is. I'm hoping I'll be able to deceive the eye on those when I get round to it. So where we are now is tonight I'm going to be working this area here. Well, I'll get as far as I get. It's still got a few more nights of dry brushing to go. I'll finally settle on an idea of what colour I want to paint the cobblestones. Probably only to cover some of them up again, but I'll go for whatever cobblestones I want to do, and then I'll decide what I'm going to use as extra scatter, and do that and add that. Then we're going to sit our tank on, see where we need to cover, you know, where we need to help the tracks a bit, because the tracks are sitting on hard standing here. It's not like we can sink it in mud, as I said before. So again, some of our dust effects here is silver sand that I use on all my bases for the War Games figures I paint for people. So it's silver sand. It's got some cuttlefish grit that they use for budgies and things, I think. That's gone into it as well, and some of the Jarvis railway ballast has been sprinkled in there as well, all on white PVA with a bit of PVA on top as well, just to hold them a bit more firmer. So I'll be doing that around the tank. You know, I don't want to show, apart from where that Katusha went in, I didn't particularly want to show a huge mud effect. So yeah, there we are. I'm going to be doing a separate video, because why would I do it when I can make an extra one out of it? These are the figures, so nothing. Yes, it's warlike, but I didn't want them to be overly warlike. I was quite taken with this. You know, we got the two youngsters, literally in the last days. They're carrying pulling a handcart. They've got some weapons in. I was hoping, and I don't think it's been a long time since I've opened it. I've got this specifically. I think that's a word. Don't ask me to spell it. I got it on purpose anyway for this dio. I was hoping that either it'd be a load of ammunition boxes with, you know, the odd rifle, or a load of panzerfausts, because let's face it, they were throwing panzerfausts at people back in the day. And if I remember rightly, I was a bit disappointed for the contents of the cart. But we'll look at that in probably a video tomorrow, or maybe the next day. So guys, thank you very, very much for stopping by and taking a look at this little diorama. As I say, it's my first real one, I believe. Really enjoyed it. Got nowhere to put it when it's done. It'll probably go straight in the bin once I'll have to do a video. Probably end up having to rip the thing to pieces, salvage what I can, and the rest will, well, in fact, probably won't go in the bin. It'll probably get ripped to shreds and put in separate bags ready for a different usage. Unfortunately, you just got to recycle stuff. But yeah, so I don't know what you guys think. I've got a few extra things I want to throw at it, debris-wise, but I don't want to make it overly cluttered, because if you go and visit my Mara Greg Riley, he does full-on dios with the half houses and all the rest of it, and he puts the wallpaper on and chandeliers or lights and radiators and all that stuff. Well, this was never intended to be one of those. It was intended to be, this is a Tiger tank. It's in the centre of a city. It could be Berlin. It could be Stettin. It could be Danzig. It could be Budapest. You know, something like that. I don't know. You take your pick. Add one for yourself. You know, it's just there to show a city centre without showing one, if that makes sense. I'd even had the ideas of literally building backdrops out of foam card again, you know, but no, I don't want to do that. It's good for what it is, but I will add a few extra bits and pieces. So if you do have any ideas that aren't going to cost me anything, and no, I'm not on the cadge, I'm just on about if there's things that can be made out of things that isn't too difficult, that you think that could be on there, then you know, put them down in the comments and we'll see if I do them. But heck, I've made a Katusha rocket out of a paintbrush protector. What more do you want? Right, thank you very, very much for stopping by and taking a look at the video. I hope everything's going well with you. I always say it, but I genuinely do. As I say, we're living in tough times, and when we were living in better times, I hope things go well for you. I hope your projects are doing fine. Whether they're scale modelling, whether they're figure painting, whether they're wargaming. You look after yourselves, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video. Cheers.